In this video, we're going to be talking about how musicians can market their music, their riffs, and their beats online. And the great thing is, I'm interviewing a producer that I've been admiring for quite a while online, and the reason why is because he does things so unique. You've got to see it. Hi guys, my name's Des from the Music Marketing Academy. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. If you're looking to market you, your band, or your brand in this fast-growing music industry, then you've come to the right place. So I'm interviewing Jawsh Crespo. He's a 30-year-old guitarist who has been playing since he was 13 years old. Over the years of listening to hip hop and rock, he has adopted his own style that is mellow and at times hard-hitting. His credits include Burgetti, CXLDAF, Charles Goose, and Kung Fu Vampire. So we don't waste any more time, let's get on with the interview. But first, hey guys, if you're a musician and you want to learn more about marketing both you and your music, use the link in the description to join over 300 other musicians. There's lots of other cool tips, tricks, and access to a lot of really useful tools. Looking to make money with your music? Then the Music Marketing Academy is just for you. Let's get back to it. So Josh, let's start this interview. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background if you don't mind?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a 30-year-old music producer, guitarist, instrumentalist. Started playing guitar, as lessons as a 7 or 8-year-old, something like that. My grandpa has played guitar his whole life. He actually used to open up for not for Santana, but at a club that Santana would play at after him because my grandpa wasn't 21 yet and Santana was. So he would play. And then, it's 10 p.m. or whatever it was. And then Santana would come on and play for like the late night crowd.
Right,
So he
wow.
started teaching me at a really young age. And then, it was something that my mom wanted for me and my sister more than anything. So I kind of, that lasted maybe 6 months or something for lessons, just for basics, chords and notes on the guitar. And then at 13, 14, my friends started getting electric guitars and learning metal covers and punk rock covers. And I wanted to do that too because they were doing it and then we could do something together. So I got a little cheapy Lion guitar. It looked like a Fender Stratocaster, but my
Okay.
parents got it for me from Target, right? Like $100 or whatever, a little amp and the whole thing. And started learning, Blink-182 and Metallica songs and
Wow.
just getting like my feet wet with the instrument for myself. And then, a few years down the road, started playing in a band with one of my best friends growing up. And that lasted for like almost 4 or 5 years. And the singer from that went on to do big things.
As they
And
do.
yeah, he went on the X Factor, got pretty far.
Really?
He was on, yeah, his name's Austin Carini. We did an interview with him a couple of weeks ago, which is pretty cool. That'll come out soon. But
Sure.
they put him in a boy band. He was at Simon's house, right? And he got pretty far in the process. And then he it didn't end up working out for them, but he got a recording contract from all that. They put him in he got another boy band together, like a little punk rock band, and they traveled and opened for the Vamps for a couple years overseas. And it's just interesting how the journey's gone. And I took my own journey once the band broke up back in 2011, 2012, and it's been 8 years of me making my own stuff and a couple years of me producing on my own with my own setup, even though I picked up Fruity Loops in 2011, but I didn't have a laptop or anything after that.
Okay.
And so I started producing a couple years ago and started selling loop kits 9 months ago, like when quarantine kind of started.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
And now we're here with somewhat of a business under my name, which is kind of cool.
No, that's fine. I mean, obviously, the reason why I've got you on this podcast, I've spoken to a few musicians in my time. I've spoken to a guy that manages people, but I never got a producer on, and I don't feel that they get the respect they should be getting in the music industry. So that's really why I wanted to get you on.
Right.
Just to give a little perspective, and also the way you promote yourself, I think, is a little bit unique as well to what I see other producers doing. So that's one of the reasons why I got you on here today, Josh. So it's great to have you on and just to get your perspective on this.
Today's video is going to be about being scared and doing something anyways. It might be sales for you. It might be DMing somebody to ask if you could send them beats or loops or whatever it might be. I know it's scary, but on the other side of that fear and that uncomfortability is you feeling good about yourself for doing what you were scared to do, and they might say yes, and you might get a sale, and you might get a placement. So like, think about it that way instead of just being too scared or too anxious to do something just because you don't feel like it, because that's where you're going to grow, and that's really where your productivity and growth as an artist, producer, composer, whatever it is, may come. Yeah, definitely, of course.
So obviously you went into a lot just then, but
Yeah.
if we can take your journey then. So you're in a band, because obviously you're doing kind of like hip hoppy type beats now.
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing in that band then? How did you progress from the band to doing like beats? How did that happen?
It's an interesting journey. It was alternative rock.
Right.
So our name originally was Autonomous, but we spelled it with an O instead of
Okay.
an A
Okay.
because we were kids in high school.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then when one of my best friends decided to leave the band and we got the singer Austin and and switched people out, we changed our name from Autonomous to the Epidemic, spelled with a K at the end because it's very edgy, instead of a C. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
and so like I went from that like journey, and then I my dad actually, funny enough, like he's a he was like a bit of a pastor growing up. He had his full-time job, but he would like pastor at the church here and there. But he was the one who showed us like Changes by Tupac, and of course it was like the clean edited version as kids. But so
Okay.
that kind of like got me interested in hip hop, like Run DMC, like pretty mellow stuff, nothing crazy. Um,
So hold a
but
minute. Your dad got you into hip hop. Is that right? Did I
yeah,
just hear
like
that
he
right?
showed us,
Mm.
and there was like some Christian rappers that he would show us from the area, and
Okay.
I remember doing a little paper in fourth grade on one of them talking about what the song was about, and so like that was my interest in hip hop. But then like come 21 years old, like when Odd Future in 2011, when Tyler the Creator was getting really big, I took a big interest in him and how he was marketing on social media,
Mm-hmm.
Twitter especially. Funny enough, and I was just fascinated by how they were doing it, and him and all of his friends would connect on Twitter, and the world would see it, and they would just kind of be involved in the process, and so like his music, for better or for worse, it got me into like kind of like underground hip hop and some darker like heavier stuff, and then from there, I just kind of, back in 2011, like Big Sean was getting really big, and Drake obviously had, Take Care and all that
Sure.
stuff going on. So I'd listen to it for myself and I liked it, but I didn't know how to make any of those songs. I could show you some of my first productions back in 2011. There's a couple that are on SoundCloud, funny enough. And
Okay.
it's just, I don't know what I'm doing with Fruity Loops. I don't know how the piano roll works or the hi-hats or anything. And but that was kind of like how I developed my own sound and my own taste in the hip hop genre. And then there's, lots of different riff ideas I put up on YouTube for guitar back in 2011. There's another YouTube channel I had with over
Sure.
100 videos of me
Wow.
playing
That's some
guitar and
journey. Yeah, that's some
yeah, just
journey.
figuring it out for myself, right? Just I didn't have a band anymore, but I still wanted to play guitar and I didn't know how to facilitate that, and tried to do the whole one man band thing, and producing is a little bit more feasible for that than,
Of
you know,
course.
playing just instrumental stuff live. So
So are you making money full time from this, or have you got like a day job, like a separate job?
when quarantine started, I was a full-time Uber driver up until
Okay.
when quarantine started, and
Right.
then
Okay. Didn't expect that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's what I was doing for the past year and a half or so. And so I had done that full time, and right when quarantine hit, obviously I wasn't trying to drive people around.
Of course.
Um, but Uber didn't offer, any unemployment or anything. So I got like maybe 2 unemployment checks, and then it got cut off. And my fiance at the time, who's my wife now, she was collecting unemployment. So it kind of worked out. And then she started working for herself. She's a dog groomer and a cat groomer.
Hmm.
And so we were okay financially, like obviously the rent and stuff, we were able to defer payments and car payments and stuff. But
Sure.
once, you know, real life kind of started kicking in, I had maybe 4 or 5 months when I really grew my Twitter and my business when
Yeah.
quarantine started. And so I took advantage of that time. I was taking on clients for dirt cheap, doing mixing and mastering for almost nothing, just to, you know, kind of get my name out there, giving
Sure.
away a lot of free guitar kits to a lot of people. My DMs are like, there's hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 by this point since quarantine started, of me just giving stuff away for free.
Sure.
And then money started coming in, and which was nice, but you know, I wasn't really keen on spending everything I had made from music once bills started coming around. So my wife was like, you know, it'd probably be easier if you started working again, just, you know, to have the consistent revenue. So I started doing Uber Eats
Right. Okay.
2.5 months ago now,
Okay.
again, which has allowed me to not touch any of the money that I've made from music to have to pay bills, which is great because I can use that for music related things and
Sure.
marketing and stuff.
Guys, if you've liked what you've seen so far, please leave a comment below and just tell me what you think about the interview. I think it went really well and I think it's going really well. Also, if you do like this video and you like this style of videos, there's plenty more to come. I'd ask you to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss anything. Let's get on with the interview.
So I've done that for a couple months, and me doing Uber full time for the last couple of years has facilitated me to have my tuition paid for to go to school again.
Fantastic.
To have a program for that. So in January, I'm going to start going to school, going to college online again, and just taking advantage of the, you know, the benefits that, you know, being an Uber driver has to offer, so to speak. So
Sure.
it's kind of like I'm really still learning how to balance, you know, marketing myself in music and trying to treat it full time as much as I can, and having a full time job, and then having, you know, the weekends with my wife. So
Sure.
it's a juggle and it's a balance, but it's awesome how easy it is to facilitate that with the internet. You know,
Wow.
I don't
So,
have people coming in here and recording all the time. It's all my business is online. So
and you say you sell guitar kits. What does that incorporate?
So I'll play some riffs on my guitar. I'll make a little loop, 30 seconds to a minute, and I'll just kind of group all those different ideas into a pack together, and I sell them. I sell them to people. I'll piece the kits out sometimes and give maybe 5 to 10 loops away for free. I
Okay.
still do a lot of free giveaway stuff. I'm doing one this weekend for I'm not sure if you've seen it, but the Drake versus Josh
Yeah, I
kit.
did. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't actually know what that was. So yeah, it's good that you can kind of be here
yeah.
to explain it to me because obviously, yeah, it's your pinned tweet, isn't it?
It's my pinned tweet right now, yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm really trying to push those sales for me and him. We spent a couple weeks making loops for that, and I played guitar and piano on some. He played piano and strings and vocal chops on some, and we merged our ideas together and we called it the Drake versus Josh kit, just because people thought it was hilarious, and
Yeah.
we have like box art that's, you know, like the Drake and Josh logo, and we've been selling that. It's only been a week, but you know, it's kind of funny, like people don't think that you can make decent money from selling kits like that, but I mean, we've done $600 in sales in the last week. So
Wow,
I mean,
that's crazy. I
that's
mean,
in
if you
addition
compare that to
to,
something like Spotify, that's amazing, isn't
oh
it? That you can
yeah,
make.
yeah, I made $40 off Spotify in September, my last check that I got from them, and I made, you know, $300 this week from
It's
selling
crazy.
loops.
It's
So,
crazy, isn't it? I mean, I did an interview a couple of weeks back about physical items like merchandise.
yeah, yeah.
And I was just trying to explain to a lot of musicians that sometimes you need to think out of the box. You don't always have to rely on Spotify.
Oh
Doing things
no.
that you're doing, obviously for producers, the route that you've taken is brilliant. It's perfect, isn't it? Really, because obviously you're selling a digital item. You make it once and you can sell it again and again. I take it you do some sort of licensing deal with it, or can they buy it as a one-off? How does that work?
I've always adopted the 50-50 split
Okay,
kind of business strategy, because I've never wanted to give up my rights and my royalties to these ideas that I've made, because I mean, legally we're entitled to half, but we can give up that right if we choose so once we sell the kit, and I don't like
right.
to give that up, just because you never know. I mean, you never know if that song's gonna go huge and then your loops in
Yeah,
there. You
absolutely.
know, I have
Yeah,
to tell
you
my
sold
wife,
it.
hey.
Yeah.
This song has millions of plays and we're out $5,000, and I'm sorry because I gave up my rights, but I don't want to give up my rights.
No, I don't blame you. That's
That's
brilliant.
proven a problem, not substantially. So it's great.
Yeah, and I noticed, I mean, I was looking for it, but I don't see a website that you're selling from. So I'm assuming that most of your
Mm.
promotion is obviously on social media. How do people find, if I was coming to you to actually try and find a beat, where would I go? Because I
So if you wanted to buy a beat, I have a couple things on Track Train. I don't have anything on BeatStars. I do have a BeatStars for collaboration purposes when people put stuff up there for
sure.
sales. But I think that might be kind of one of the things that separates me from a lot of people is if you want to buy something from me, you're buying it from me. It's a
Right.
direct sale to me. We're talking in the DMs on Twitter or Instagram, and you're purchasing it, and I have the link, and I'll send it to you as soon as I possibly can. Being safe with driving all day and stuff, but
Yeah, sure.
it's a direct connection to me, and it's never been a problem.
No.
Nobody's ever been like, oh, I don't want to buy it because you don't have a website link. Like, it's never. I mean, I do want to get more beats and stuff on BeatStars and Track Train, but all 300 or so beats that I've made in the past couple of years, they're on SoundCloud.
Okay.
And that's never been a problem with selling beats for me either. So when people come to me and they want to buy a beat or they want to hear my catalog, I send them to SoundCloud. And if they're a serious customer, they'll listen, they'll find something they want, and then that's how I've done beat leases. So
I'm with you.
it's really like I've kind of cut out like the middleman, so to speak, when it comes to these other services. I think they're great. I think they're awesome. I do want to be uploading a few more things to BeatStars and Track Train just to have stuff there if people are curious and aren't talking to me and just click my link in my bio. But it's never proven problematic for for sales purposes, which is great. I mean, it's just worked out that way. But I've always been a more personable person, willing to talk to people in the DM. So
Yeah, yeah, sure. So a transaction then, if it's not via website, then is it like a PayPal thing? So if I
yeah,
wanted to buy a riff from
PayPal,
you
Cash
or
App,
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
Venmo,
And the
and I've
license,
learned how to navigate those waters because there was one night when I was trying to use some of the funds in my PayPal to buy something, and PayPal was like, "Oh, made me go through 15 steps to tell what these last 15 sales were for." And once I literally the next day I was able to get back into my account and spend the money how I
right.
wanted to. But so now I invoice people if it's a PayPal transaction. So I get their email and I say 4 guitar loops for production purposes for music, and I put that in the memo, and it's never an issue
Sure.
what the money's being transacted for. So
No, that's the best way. And so say for example, I bought a guitar riff from you. What you're saying then is you're licensing it to me, so you can license it to other people, the same guitar riff. Is that right?
so my and that's kind of because my prices are so low. So if you wanted something custom from me
Hmm.
and you're like, hey, I want you to do custom chord progressions that sound like this, um, custom guitar work essentially, right? My prices have usually been about $60 to do something like that.
Okay.
But I've never ever had a contract in place where somebody's signing and I'm signing saying, hey, this is exclusively and legally yours. It's obviously made for them and it's a custom piece made for them, but it's only at that low of a price point because that's going to get grouped into a bigger pack somewhere along the line, because I just don't want to sit on 100 guitar loops and I can only use 30 of them because the other 70 were custom creations for other people.
I'm with you.
I'm never giving that right away legally. I'm never signing anything that's saying it's just for you. If you want an exclusive, it's kind of like a beat exclusive, right? If you want that, it's going to cost more. That's just the way it's going to be,
Yeah.
because I can't be selling myself for dirt cheap doing custom work that I can't allow to be a residual transaction down the line for packs or other people or whatever.
Sure.
So I can't wrap my head around doing that. But if you want custom work, 100% exclusive work, I'll do it, but
Sure.
it's not going to be $60, so.
So as a business model, then the returns are pretty phenomenal, then, aren't they? If you do a guitar loop or a beat, and you have the ability to market it to several people that are interested, So you produce it once and you sell it over and over and over again. The returns are pretty good then for what you're
They can
doing.
be.
Yeah,
They can be if you know how to market it, right?
sure.
And that's where the trick comes in, because you'll hear. Have you heard of Illmind, the
Yeah,
producer? Like guys like him will be like, "Hey man, there's so much longevity in selling a beat 100 times at $50, opposed to selling it once for 500, which is true. But how do you sell it 100
yeah,
times for $50?"
yeah,
And that's literally what I'm learning right now with this new kit that me and Drake came out with, right? We've sold it, we'll call it 20 times for $30 over the last week to 20 different people. That's great. How did I do that? A lot of
a lot of
private
work. Yeah,
messages,
yeah.
tons of them, like maybe 200 at this point.
Wow. So
So it's a
you're
10%
always in
return.
the DMs then, basically. Yeah. So you're always getting in those inquiries. You're having
Yeah,
to answer them, take the time out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And if I'm checking Twitter when I'm working, I'm not checking my notifications right away. I'm checking to see if there's any messages that are pertinent to the business, because that's where it goes down, right?
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
yeah. But
So
how to flip that pack 100 times? That's the key.
yeah,
That's kind of the thing. And I think I will see more longevity in getting these packs on BeatStars and Track Train, because there are, for example, last month, 16,000 people that looked at my profile last month.
sure.
Just from seeing my tweets and then clicking and
That's
then
phenomenal.
profile.
That's
I might be
phenomenal.
losing out on some income by not having all of my packs just boom, click the link, and they can just buy whenever they see fit, instead of having, because some people don't want to reach out. They don't want to talk personally. They just want to be a customer and move on. So I think that there's definitely some, you can really, really up that number from 20 to 40, and then 40 to 60, 60 to 80, 80 to 100, if you do have those sites implemented as well. So, because you can only message people so much all day long. You really can. It's not easy, that's for sure.
No, no. So you're basically doing the Uber Eats in the day. When you get a bit of time, you'll check in on your phone, you'll check the DMs, and then you can kind of reply to them, do a bit more driving. Is that kind of how your day is? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Sounds crazy, man.
and I think it works for me in my mind, because I'm just going all the time. I get excited if I've made $80 on top of what I made with driving for the
Yeah,
day.
man, that's brilliant.
It's awesome, but you really, really, really want, like I'm saying, learn how to expand and make that 80 be 160 every single day,
Sure.
Monday through Friday, because that's where like the explosive growth is going to come.
Yeah.
Automation. I mean, really, like these sites are huge for things like that. So it's busy days all day. It
Yeah,
really is,
sure.
especially when new kids come out. You know, and the interesting thing is, and this is, I mean, for whoever's watching this, like as far as Uber Eats is concerned, what I've learned is the more you're moving, the more trips you're getting. So if you're sitting in a parking lot waiting,
Absolutely.
you're not
Absolutely.
getting too much. So that really makes you have to
Yeah.
juggle the
Yeah.
two, pretty diligently. But it's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy the grind. I don't mind talking to people all day long. I really don't. But you really just got to learn how to balance it, because if you have a full-time job, it's a whole different
Absolutely.
story.
No, you're right. So you do something quite, I say unique. I think it's unique in your space where you do like a time lapse
Yeah,
of you in the studio. Well, when I say studio,
yeah.
you're at your computer, you're on your guitar. That's
Mhm.
something I haven't seen a lot online, and definitely not on Twitter. So where did you get the idea to do that?
I'm actually doing it right now with my phone too. Um,
Brilliant.
yeah. Let me change the angle. I started doing it. I started doing time lapses like when the iPhone 10 came out a few
Okay,
years ago. But it was just literally for fun, and I would just put like people's music over it, because I wasn't producing at the time.
sure.
But then when quarantine started, I started doing it, and my friend, his name's Charles Goose. He's a pretty decently sized artist on Spotify,
Yeah,
and he was all, bro, like that should be your thing, like that. You should be the time lapse guy.
that is your thing, though, isn't it? You're kind of known for
Yeah,
that now, aren't you? Which is
yeah, I
brilliant.
am. I was when quarantine, when I was in the peak of quarantine and the peak of just taking clients and just doing as much as I possibly could with music. I was putting out time lapses every single night for like a couple months. Like that was like every single night, like clockwork. I would put them out. I would blow up the group chats that I put out a new one, and if people interacted, great, and if they didn't, that's great too. And that was my thing.
Sure.
And I'm sure you could tell now that like I've been like learning other aspects of video, obviously for branding purposes, and there's other things you could be doing, but the time lapses are just like a really easy thing to do while you're doing something.
It's brilliant.
And it looks cool. I think it looks cool.
And it's a form of storytelling as well, isn't it? I mean, you're not saying anything, but you're kind of telling the story during that time lapse, you know? So no, I think it's brilliant. And like I said, I don't see many others doing that sort of thing. So the fact that you're doing it and you've kept doing it is brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's fun.
Yeah.
It takes up a lot of space on your phone, but you learn.
Absolutely. So tell me about the social media platforms. Obviously, you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram. What other social media platforms are you on? And then a second follow-up to that question is, which one do you get the most success from?
I'm on everything. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook under the same name that you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. And that's my only Facebook. I have Snapchat. It's a bit of a different name. It's Supreme Jawsh, but I have Snapchat too. So it's cool because like Drake Beats, like, you know, we can talk on Snapchat. Like Andre Marriott, we can talk on Snapchat. There's a few other producers too, and it's just kind of like a quick and easy way to connect with your producer friends that isn't like on a music thing. You're just literally talking throughout the day. It's just YouTube. Obviously, there's the Sound Booth podcast. I also have a YouTube.
We'll get onto that actually, because I did listen to some of that.
You saw that?
Yeah, but we'll come onto that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Because you're a busy man.
SoundCloud, I'm everywhere. I mean, and that's what I've learned is you have to be visible in some sense everywhere. And I just started doing Instagram Reels, and that's like a really easy, quick 15-second way to get in the algorithm and to get out there on the Explore page more, which I definitely recommend for people.
Sure. So out of the platforms that you use then, where have you had the most success? What's your favorite go-to social media platform?
For sure Twitter is where I've had the most success. It's kind of becoming, I mean, and this is a great problem to have, but it's kind of becoming difficult to manage just with how many interactions I have a day with people. Which is great. I mean, I love that new feature, the, you know, only people you follow can reply. Like, I think that's a great feature.
Yeah.
But definitely Twitter, as far as financial, like that's where 90% of my businesses come from.
Wow.
Yeah, which is interesting because I hear from like a lot of artists, at least, or singers and rappers, songwriters, they get a lot of Instagram traction because a lot of producers will be hitting them up there. But I've always been a lot more producer focused. I'd love to have an artist that I work with consistently. And I've made some stuff with a few people, but Instagram, I've done maybe 5 sales, and a lot of those are beat leases from Instagram, which is interesting.
Right. Okay.
But, yeah. So, I mean, and nothing, I haven't played the type beat game on YouTube yet. So I couldn't tell you, you know, if I would have success there or not. It's just, if I can like streamline everything platform wise throughout the week, like, okay, it's Monday, I'm uploading a couple beats to YouTube, BeatStars and Track Train, you know, and get on a schedule. I think I would see a little bit more consistency throughout the other platforms. And then obviously the podcast, but definitely going back to what you said, Twitter has been the most lucrative. Instagram, I do enjoy. I do like watching stories. I follow so many people on all my platforms that I don't really scroll my feed too much, especially on Instagram. I'm just checking out stories that my friends post throughout the day. And then Twitter, obviously, I'll scroll here and there, but I've really started adapting, like searching my friends up on Twitter.
You have to, don't you?
Looking at what they're posting and interacting with them, because you know it. I mean, you follow 12,000 people too. Like, there's not.
You can't interact and engage with all of them, can you? It's impossible.
No, and you can't scroll that either all day long, because for me, that's always been a detriment to my productivity on these social media sites. So I've definitely learned to adapt. So
I
I'm not.
must admit, I spend most of my time in the notifications. I don't. I get a
Mhm.
lot of DMs, but nowhere near as much as you do. So most of my time, I'm not going to lie, is spent in notifications. Just
Yeah.
basically people that have left a comment or retweeted or said something. I'll basically jump in there. But I very rarely look at my home feed, if I'm honest. Very
Yeah.
rarely.
Yeah.
Just don't have the
And
time.
sometimes I'll see a friend's tweet for a split second and then it'll be gone because the algorithm, repopulates the feed. And then I'll go and I'll look at their
Sure.
page and be like, what did they say? Because I want to see.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
you really got to learn how to control the beast because
Yeah.
it can just totally take you over.
But you know about the list feature, right, on Twitter? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've been added to lists and stuff, which I think are really cool.
Mm,
I've never spent my time in them though, but I know that it could be like a list of my 50 friends
exactly. Yeah.
and just check their stuff. So that's probably really good. I should probably do that.
When you find the time.
Yeah. When I find the time, exactly.
So what do you think, guys? Are you impressed? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you're thinking. If you have any questions for either me or Josh, we'll answer them as soon as we can. All right. But thank you so much for watching this video. Let's get back to it. So who's your demographic then? Obviously you're making kind of like hip hop riffs and hip hop beats. Is your demographic then really young, up and coming hip hop rappers, or who's your demographic? Who do you say it is?
I've noticed it's probably, I mean, 18 to 25 obviously, but like definitely younger 20s, like a lot of males, a lot of guys that have part-time or full-time jobs just kind of doing whatever. And that's the demographic that I do the best with because
Okay.
I tweeted about it this week, and that's the demographic that can actually pay for loops and kits and all that kind of stuff. So but yeah, I mean, I definitely, between 18 and 25, some of the guys I talk to are my age, like 30s. But yeah, that's definitely my demographic. I've noticed for sure.
Sure.
I mean, if it was like a pie chart, it'd be a very, very small percentage of females in that age range too. But they're
Unfortunately.
out there.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
few of them. Like you were saying last week, you did that interview with Maya, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if your demographic's quite small, then do you get a lot of return customers then? So say for example, you've got something you're promoting at the moment. Would you
Yeah.
say the vast majority of your custom is from existing people or people that have purchased from you previously, or are you still getting a lot of new people coming in through that kind of funnel of guys interested in the riffs and the beats?
It's actually, for this one, it's interesting. It's a lot of newer people.
Is it
But I
really?
do have a list on my phone of previous clients that I will be hitting up as well because they've purchased loops or kits from me in the past. So right now I'd probably say it's at least half and half, if not more, new customers, which is great.
That's really good, actually, mate. That's very good.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tweeted last night. It was like a half of a joke. I was sitting in here working on just beats because I had some time. My wife was watching her horror TV show or her murder mystery show, and I'm sitting here and I'm having some wine and I'm like, okay, I'm just like, who wants to buy the Drake and Josh kit? I tweeted it. Somebody I never talked to before, never seen him on Twitter, and
That's
he's all me.
crazy.
He goes, me, right? And it had like 5 or 6 likes or something. And see, this is what I think a lot of people don't understand. They see a tweet like that and they're like, oh, whatever, it means nothing. That tweet made me $30. Like that. and I never talked to him. I was like, okay, I'm gonna DM you. I DM'd him right away. He responded. He gave me his Cash App. He paid. And then I was like, hey, are you so-and-so from Cash App? Just to make sure that it was him. And 20 minutes later he responds, and then I gave him the kit.
That's
But
crazy.
and that was like a half joking, just kind of like hanging out. Let's see if I can get anything from this. And one person, boom, did. Never talked to him, never seen him before.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Because if you think about it, how long would it take you to earn that money on Spotify? $30.
A month?
Oh, it's crazy. That's madness.
No, it's nuts. It's nuts. But see, that's the thing. My friend told me to start doing this years ago. His name's Austin Sharp. He goes by Stay Sharp. He's produced for 8 or 9 years now on Ableton and Fruity Loops.
Okay.
And he told me 3 years ago, he's like, bro, start flipping guitar packs, start selling packs. There is a market for it. You can make some decent money with it. And sure enough, 10 months ago is when I started. And he's more of a production guy than anything. He doesn't play instruments too much besides piano a little bit, but he was right. And Illmind is right, and all these producers who are like, start flipping packs, start making things, because like there's X amount of revenue in that pack that's just sitting there that you may or may not know that's there. You never know.
Sure.
Never know.
No, that's crazy. So, what was going to say? So the actual tweets, then, do you actually schedule those in advance, or do you just kind of think of things off the top of your head and then just start tweeting about it? What's your process?
Yeah, I've never used I know like a lot of guys like Andre and stuff will make a draft and throw it out later. I just kind of like adopt oh, here's an idea. Let's wait till I'm at a stoplight, start typing it out and put it out into the world, and then come back an hour later and see how it's doing.
Right.
I don't use the scheduled tweet services. I don't use wait for later on Twitter. I don't use any of that stuff. I just, in the moment, it comes to me and I put it out there, and that's proven pretty productive for me. I'm sure if I was sitting here all day long at the desk and had an idea and I was like, okay, let me schedule that for noon because that's when the most people are online. Like, yeah, I'm sure I could do that, but my mind is just like in a couple different places all the time on the road.
Enough.
So it's tweet as I go, and it seems pretty productive. And the videos too, like the ones where I'm talking to the camera, that's, I do my best to make that as like in the moment as I can, that's relevant to whatever is going on Twitter or whatever I'm thinking for the day. So it's just inspiration as I go content, which is cool.
Sure. So where do you get most of your inspiration from then? Obviously, would you consider it to be your style, the riffs and the beats, or do you take inspiration from a set amount of producers in your field?
I think as far as guitar playing, a lot of that came from, I really liked Red Hot Chili Peppers growing up.
Okay, yeah.
Frusciante, like their original guitarist. There's some like funk elements to some stuff, especially when I'm just riffing like by myself. A lot of melodic stuff. I like to do a lot of bar chords, a lot of finger picking. And then as far as like soloists go, like I like Joe Satriani a lot. I like Steve Vai, obviously I bought his guitar. And Santana, like Kirk Hammett from Metallica. A lot of those guys influenced my guitar playing. And then like the hip hop stuff, or like the trap rap beat aspect of it is definitely like, as far as like the bounce is concerned, like I've noticed it's a lot more like upbeat. Like a lot of my friends, they make beats and they only have a few kicks for their kick drums, like layered here and there. But a lot of times, like I have like a really bouncy rhythm going over like a really flowy like guitar riff. So there's a lot of movement to like to the drums, and then the guitar just kind of fills in the space. So that's like I said, I really like Illmind as a producer.
Sure.
So he's definitely influenced like that. And then, obviously like I said, like Tyler as a producer is really cool in the beginning. I really like Metro Boomin, like his sound when him and 21 Savage came out with their first project. That was like a really like that dark trap instrumental sound. And then his 808s and stuff, how he used them, like that definitely influenced me a lot too. So
cool. They sound dope anyway. They sound really good.
Thank you.
I'll definitely buy it if I was looking to do something. Definitely. So yeah, let's get on to Sound Booth then. Tell me about that then. Let's talk about that, because obviously you do a lot. You're driving the Uber. Obviously you got your family. You're doing the beats. You're doing the riffs, and then you start a podcast. So tell me a little bit about that. How did that come about?
So Sound Booth was Trevor's idea.
Okay. Yeah.
This was right in the middle of quarantine. I'm sitting there in the garage working on client work because my wife works out of the garage with her grooming salon. And he goes, "Hey, I have a business idea. Can I call you?" And me and Trevor, like, we have an interesting history. We've done some network marketing companies together in the past, where I've learned a lot of my sales, like nutritional supplements and stuff. And I was like, okay, like, what is this about? And so we get on FaceTime, and he's all, "I want to do a podcast." And I was like, okay, that's something I can get behind. You know, like I was like, I'm not really trying to do like any business. Like I'm trying to get this off the ground, and this is super organic and super like you figure it out as you go with this business thing with music. And I was like, yeah, okay, that fits the brand. That makes sense. Let's do a podcast. And we've just made it work as we go. The first one, if you've watched the first one, we're actually, I think we're in here, and then the second one we're in his room, and then we decided to stay here because the equipment my wife actually has for her dog photo booth when she takes pictures of her dogs after she grooms them. So the lights and stuff are hers, are for her business. The camera that we were using a DSLR at first, and now we just use my phone because we can get just as good as quality. But yeah, it was his idea, his brainchild, and then I learned how to edit more as we went. He's finally kind of gotten the editing thing underway, 14 episodes in. And now, we're putting them out weekly. We'll get together twice a month. We'll film like 5 or 6 episodes if we can those days. And we stockpile them up and then we put them out.
And what are they? What's the podcast about then? What's the meaning behind it?
It's kind of similar to what you were saying. The producer, Trevor, felt like the producer's not getting a lot of shine, not getting a lot of put on, unless you're obviously like a bigger name, so to speak. Obviously, everybody wants to speak with the Metro Boomins of the world. But he was like, let's talk to these guys that are coming up and that are making moves and being consistent and trying to get their stuff heard. And I thought it was a good idea. And we've had a few artists on as well, too. But yeah, it's really been focused on the producer and seeing what the producer, can talk about, bring to the table, share their story. So.
And have you enjoyed it? That part of it?
It's fun. It's a grind, man. It's like it's Thursday night, interview comes out Friday morning. I'm tired. It's 8:00. I have a couple hours.
Yeah.
Let's edit this.
Been there, got the t-shirt.
What first got you into making music?
I used to play like a lot of video games, and someone like my friends I played with, he always made beats on FL Studio, so I always kind of knew about it. And then like I got more into it and started asking about it after like I saw like a Genius video of like Juice WRLD Deconstructed. I think it was Empty. It was Empty.
Empty, okay.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's a lot easier with him doing half the editing now, which is great. Like he did last week, so I did the week before. I think he did the week before that. So splitting that workload is great. Not like this month, we're not doing too much as far as interviews, but we're going to go back and listen to our past guests' music and just talk about our thoughts on it and how we feel about it to kind of give some shine to there. But I mean, it's a long game. There's not a lot of views in it to begin with, unless the person that we're interviewing has some pull on Twitter or whatever it may be. But, people think it's like the coolest thing in the world. Oh my God, you have a podcast. I want to do
They don't understand how much work is behind it, really, do they? It's a lot of work, a lot of work.
And then facilitating a schedule for 4 or 5 people on a Sunday afternoon the night before. Hey, what time can you get on? When are you free? What's your Discord? What's your Zoom? What's your phone number? Let's make sure that.
Sure.
And then, if you have 6 scheduled, you might do 4.
Yeah.
Because somebody just stops responding all of a sudden, and it's fine. I mean, it makes it easier, but
it's hard because of the time zones as well. Because obviously, I'm based in the UK, for example, and you're based on the West Coast, aren't you?
Yeah.
So just getting
almost for you.
Yeah, for the two of us, it's been difficult. But if you multiply it by 4, 5, 6 different people, it's virtually impossible, isn't it, to get everyone on the call together?
Yeah, it's and some of the guys in some of these group chats have come to me with the idea like, hey, let's get all 15 of us on a call together. And I'm like, okay, go for it. I'm not gonna say no, but I'm just like the facilitation of doing something like that. It's gonna be like 3 a.m. on a Wednesday. Like that's not gonna work, man. Like I appreciate it, but yeah, like it's tough, man. Between the podcast, between making music, between making packs, between networking, between selling things, between having a full-time job. I mean, you're doing it too. Sure. It's not easy. No. But people see the tweets that I put about making a sale or this or that, and that's just because I'm excited that I made a sale. But then they're like, "How are you doing it? How are you making so much money and so many sales?" And I'm like, I'm doing a lot. Like there's
hard
there's
work and graft. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm 30, and I sold cars, I've sold nutritional supplements, I've sold a lot of things. So like the psychology behind sales and the follow-up that it takes to make sales, that's something that like clicked in for me when I was 21, 22 years old, and like solidified at like 23, 24. So like this is like not new to me. I don't care if I have to message people to follow up or to see if they're interested. I'm not really uncomfortable with that anymore. It's not hard for me to do. I'm not scared to do it. But like a lot of these people are in their early 20s and they've never had a sales job and they don't know what that entails. And so when they learn, if they buy my consultation document, for example, it's $30, right? Instead of a $60 an hour consultation with me, which is low prices compared to some of these guys out there. Like they read it and they're like, this is great. And they'll apply half of it. So they'll see half the results. They come out with the free kit, but are you messaging people to see if they want your free kit? Are you tweeting about it? Are you making videos about it? And most of my friends aren't. And these are people that I know like personally over, from Twitter, and you start talking on the phone and we have phone numbers and stuff and exchange, FaceTimes and whatever, and they're doing half the work. So they're seeing half the results. But then they see me and they're like, yeah, but you're just like growing like crazy. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing more than you're doing, and there's more going on. So that's the only reason. And it's no harm, no foul. It's I'm not coming down on them. I'm just doing more. That's all it comes down to.
Sure.
I'm not scrolling my timeline, trying to interact with everybody that's there. I'm messaging people. I'm making videos and content, and there's more videos and content that I want to make. There's more like vlog style stuff that I love to do, and having my wife make a beat and having my dad make a beat and like these different types of ideas that I've been thinking about for months that I haven't done yet because it's Sunday and I'm doing a podcast with you, and there's just other stuff just going on in life. But there's so many different aspects to this that you can brand. It's ridiculous. But I think what people forget is that it's all part of the brand.
Absolutely.
So if they know me as the guy who makes inspirational videos, great. If they know me as the guy who plays guitar, great. But I don't want to just be the guy that plays guitar. I don't, because there's lots of us.
No, there is. And competition's fierce as well. And there's obviously new producers coming through all the time as well, isn't there?
Yeah. And you see them come up quick. And you see them get part of a collective quick. And I'm not in any group or collective. I'm friends with the guys that are in them, but I'm not exclusively X, Y, and Z, which I think for me works to my benefit because I'm not waiting on so-and-so to contribute to the kit to put the kit out. And I'm not splitting, except for obviously this kit with Drake, splitting income on a kit. It's all coming to me.
Yeah.
And it's all sitting in the account, and I'm just seeing it slowly, go up, and then I buy a guitar and it goes down and whatever it may be. I mean, it's fun though. That's the biggest thing is I enjoy.
That's the main thing. Yeah, that is the main thing.
I don't see marketing as a chore. I don't see hitting people up as a chore. It's not something that's hard for me. And I think that's just because I want it, and I've wanted this since I was 21, for 9 years. And now that like kind of like I'm saying, like bringing it full circle from where like when I saw Tyler and his friends on Twitter and they were just blowing up and it was just moving and their movement was moving, and I thought it was super cool, and that's all I wanted. And now I kind of have like this thing that I've created that I've got a bunch of friends that I made along the way, and I'm just kind of like seeing it snowball and grow. And I think it's awesome, and I don't really know what to do with it. I don't know how to market it the best, but I'm just going with it as it comes and just doing my best to, steward it well and do my best to put a positive message out there for other people that's encouraging. And, I've never been the guy to perpetuate drama on social media and jump in on, oh, he said, she said, and I don't like this person because of this. I'm like, I don't care about that. So I have a wife, I have a family like here that I live with and other things going on to be on Twitter, like just fighting with people. Like I don't
waste of time.
Yeah. It's not making me money. That's for sure.
No, exactly. No, exactly.
It's not my focus. It's never been my brand.
So ultimately then, are you looking to actually make a full-time income out of this then? Are you looking to do this as a full-time thing, leave the Uber Eats thing behind and do this full-time? Or are you looking to just marry the two up and just do the two in tandem? Yeah,
I mean, and we'll see what the future holds, but like I'm saying, I'm enrolled to go to school. I got to sign up for classes and such and figure out the degree and which way I'm going to go and how long everything's going to take for what I'd ideally like to do, which is like more of a like a counseling therapist type thing for
Okay.
people. But
Okay.
that might be 7 years of school. Might
Right.
be. I don't know. I don't know what it might entail, if it entails a master's or what. But I mean, I would love for this to replace, the X amount of dollars I make doing Uber Eats a day. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it was consistent, my wife wouldn't have a problem with it, because money is money, and I don't really get too many benefits as far as Uber is concerned. That might be changing, but we'll see. But it's like, I'd love for this to be the thing that I get to focus on doing every day. And that's kind of like all I've wanted since I was like 21 years old anyways, is for this to be a business that I just run and it just keeps growing, which it's doing. But
It is.
It's kind of one of those things where like I just need to like buckle down on my schedule and just like get more consistent with X, Y, and Z to kind of grow the whole platform instead of like just growing Twitter and Instagram and obviously the sound booth. But if I could really like get it down where I'm like working on different aspects of the brand throughout the week on a scheduled basis, and like uploading beats to sell beats and uploading my kits to sell the kits on websites, I think I can make it scalable a little bit more and a little bit more feasible for growth.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, everything that everybody's seen so far is brand new. It's
Brilliant.
It's exciting to me. I enjoy it. But I'm just learning how to like manage it as I go too. So the more time I sit down here and I just think about like, hey, how should I piece this out and make it grow more efficiently and better, instead of, like, okay, I'm just going to work on this now because I have a little bit of time here. No. Like if it's pieced out week by week, schedule by schedule, then I think it'd be a little easier to do. But that's only because, I'm learning as I go. And
absolutely.
it's the only way to do it.
To be honest, you're doing a fantastic job. I don't see many independent producers doing things much better than what you're doing them.
Thank you.
I sometimes go into my feed and you always pop up in my feed, so you must be doing something right. That's all I can say.
Well, you interact with a lot of my stuff too.
Yeah, I think we both do, don't we? And hence the reason why I obviously got you on this podcast.
Yeah.
So I understand obviously this is a Sunday evening for me, it's a Sunday morning for you. I don't want to take up too much of your time. If you can give 3 pieces of advice for producers coming through, obviously we use the word success, but like I said, the reason why you're on the podcast, because I think you're somebody that's up and coming, and I think that you're doing things the right way. You're obviously making money from the producing. If there are 3 things that you could advise producers coming through, what would they be? What's your advice?
Definitely be consistent.
Be consistent, yeah?
Yeah, be consistent with whatever you're doing. I don't care if you're just trying to sell beats, then be consistent with putting out beats and reaching out to people that are artists and see if they want to buy your beats. Be encouraging, be positive, be like a light, because there's a lot of, like I was saying, negativity and darkness in this whole industry. And the third one, be yourself, because there's so, like, what I'm really learning for myself, there's so many more aspects to a producer or an artist than just somebody who makes music.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I make those other videos, because that's me being myself, because there's so much more going on in my head throughout a daily basis than just like, how am I going to flip these kits and sell these kits? Like there's lots of principles that you can put into play on a daily basis to keep yourself in a positive mindset and a healthy mindset. Like I wake up and I do my best to be as thankful for my life and the opportunities I've been given, and the situation that I'm in, and this room that I'm sitting in that never existed 2 years ago. Just, like these the speakers that I have that I never had, like these nice things that I do have and these opportunities I've been given. But if I'm not like consistently putting myself in a mindset that's thankful for everything, my relationship with my wife and how healthy it is compared to where I've been in other relationships before, and just like all of these things, if I'm not like doing my best to cultivate a mindset of thankfulness, and then, working on positive affirmations for myself every morning or throughout the day when I remember them, like I've done that for like a year and a half now, like all of these things, for all I know, those are all the foundations that I started that helped me get into this position that I've been able to maintain it consistently for 10 months now, because you'll see a lot of guys come and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And their whole thing is like, oh well, social media wasn't the best for my mental health or
See it
whatever.
all the time. Yeah, you're right.
It might be true, but you might have spent a lot of your time every day just scrolling and getting involved in drama and jumping in on, just like things that take away from your energy, that aren't the most beneficial, because like I said, it's a two-edged sword with social media. It goes both ways. So, and I get that, but I'm not just gonna allow this to fall to the wayside just because, I can't, facilitate it well or be responsible about it. Like I said, I'm not 21. When I was 21, I wanted it. Now I'm 30, and I'm a little bit more mature to learn how to cultivate it, well. Of course, like, I want to be on Twitter around my wife less because she wants, to spend time together, and I'm just things that I'm learning. But, there's ways that you can kind of get a handle on it and control things, but a lot of it starts in your head, because everybody wants to sell 1 million beats a month. Like, everybody does. I don't care who you are, but if you can't get it right in your head and have a vision for the future, then it's not going to cultivate anything in the long run.
Totally. Do you know what, mate? Do you know what I think works for you? And I did an interview a few weeks ago with Luke from City Lights. It's a UK band. I think what works for you, and you do something very similar to what Luke does, you're very personable on Twitter, and you're talking directly to your followers. You're not like posting content for yourself and just tweeting nonsense. You basically, whenever you're on Twitter, you're actually talking directly to your followers. And I think that's what resonates with them. I think that's why they feel so comfortable in purchasing from you. Do you not think so?
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, that would make sense. And like I said, I do my best to respond to as many people as I can. It kind of gets a little out of hand at points, but I've made it apparent and clear to people that if they want to message me about anything, go for it, and I'll get back to them. And I'm not gonna be too cool to answer or talk about things that are really affecting people. It might take a little while sometimes, but there's just so much more than just, I'm not just a salesman, and I think people know that.
Yeah. No, definitely not. It comes across anyway. Seriously, it really does. And like you said, you're quite an approachable person, and just the way you are, it actually helps as well being actually on screen, being on video. So people can kind of get to know you. A lot of producers I see kind of hide behind a logo, just tweet, and you don't know who they are. Do you know what I mean? I know musicians do it, but it's even harder, I think, for a producer to do it. You
can't do it. It doesn't work anymore. It's not like because like I said, there's so many of us that, I mean, we could all do the same thing, like musically and sonically. Like there's only so many notes in music, right? There's only so many rhythms. And like, all that's great and well, but if you don't, like I said, be yourself and show yourself and be a real honest human being, who's struggled with things, who struggles with things, who's honest about where they're at in life and all those types of things, like you're just gonna get lost in the wash of the 10,000 other producers that can make awesome fire instrumentals like you. And you don't want that. And you got to figure out how to be yourself and be comfortable with being yourself and putting yourself out there and being uncomfortable with things and learning, and that there's being honest and open to your community and to your platform that's there in front of you. That's like the biggest thing, because when I do that, like, there's messages that I get or tweets that I'll receive, and they're like, you're so positive, and you're such a good message, and it's so awesome to see out here. And like, that stuff's really cool. But that wouldn't come without me, being honest and real and open about stuff. So those are always the tweets, funny enough, that like do the best, or the videos that do the best is when you're like, hey, I've been through X, Y, and Z, and I'm here now, and it's not easy. It's not easy going through these things, but I think that they've helped make me a better, stronger, more resilient person that can share a message of like love and hope that other people just like, life sucks and I hate my life and why do these things happen? It's like, I don't know. I don't know. but that's okay. You can't let it like take you down too much.
No, not at all. And I'm just looking at one of your tweets here. You communicate when you hit a certain amount of streams as well. I think The last tweet was just hit 2,000 streams on the latest singles. I love all that. Do you know what I mean? You're in my, because I'm from a marketing background. You're basically storytelling. You're basically taking people on that journey, and you're showing them that you're human, and you're not just a guy that just produces beats. You're quite passionate about what you do, and by being so transparent like that, I think that really helps you. You know.
And I do it as those streams grow too. When it hit whatever, like 700 in the first couple of days, I did that. Then it hit 1,000. Then it hit 2,000. So like, I just progressively, and sometimes people care and sometimes they don't. You know, they'll interact with it and sometimes they don't. But like, I really don't care about that stuff too much, because it's like you were saying, how long does it take you to make $30 on Spotify? And how long did it take me to make $30 last night selling one of the kits? Like,
exactly.
It's
crazy.
A month and 10 minutes. So, you know, it doesn't matter to me. Like, those numbers are cool, but honestly, all those numbers are marketing tools. Like, and I don't think people realize that. They want one hit song with 2 million streams with a cool artist, and that's what they want. But like, if people look at my Spotify now, they'll see, wow, he's done 6, 7, 8 songs, everything over 2,000, a couple of them like 10, 20,000, which is cool. Right. But that's just marketing. That's all it is. All that's showing anybody that's like serious about this or that has a position in this professionally is that I'm just consistent. That's it. Sure. That's all that shows. And then with SoundCloud or selling beats, the beats that sell the best or the most are the ones with the most streams. And that's it. And I have it set up so like my top songs have the most streams on my SoundCloud, and people see that. But that's it. And then they're like, oh, bro, that beat is so fire. I'm like, I made that a year ago. But if you want to lease it, go for it, you know? And if you want me to do the mixing on it, that's even better. I'll vocal mix, and that's happened a couple times with a couple of them. But it's just marketing. That's all it is. This isn't like some like clout chasing, like, look at how amazing I am. It's just showing longevity to people that want to see what I've done consistently over time. That's it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And I know that there's lots of paid things that you can do for Spotify, because I have friends that have told me, and they have friends in the industry that, you know, they pay them $500 and it gets them X amount of streams and X amount of monthly listeners. And that's great because they're more artists anyways. But, you know, I know what, you know, they're okay. And then they might make $100 that month from Spotify, which is great. And I made 900 from selling packs for the month. And it doesn't matter. It just matters like what you're trying to focus on more. If you're more of an artist and you really want to focus on that lane, that's great. But I hope you can pool 100 kids to a show in your city. You know, just because you have 50,000 monthly listeners on Spotify doesn't mean that you can bring 100 kids out to a show in your city.
Exactly.
So, and that's what a lot of people fail to realize too, because they just want the online numbers that really mean nothing, and they can't pull a career that a record label might be looking for, or an A&R might be looking for. Hey, that's great. You have these streams. How do you do when you go live?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I get my 15 friends to show up every time. That's great. But if I put you in Minneapolis and you live in California, there's going to be 0 people there. And do you know how to bring 100 people to a show out there? Well, you got to start talking to people in that market and building relationships and seeing who's going to come out and support you and spend $20 on a ticket on a Friday night when their friends are all going somewhere else for drinks. You know, it's just, and that's, a lot of these kids don't understand that the numbers don't really mean anything. They're just marketing tools. Like they don't mean that you have a career in music. They don't mean that you're making millions of dollars a month. If you're bringing in millions of streams, that's a different story. But those 1,000, 2,000, 10, 20,000 streams, those are tools that can be used to build your business and build your brand and build your marketing. But if you just want it to be a flash in the pan, then that's all it'll be.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely,
you got to learn how to expand it outside of that to build a real fan base that'll come out and support, you know, once shows are allowed to happen again, whenever that may be.
Yeah, it's looking like next year now. When next year, who knows? But that's what it's looking like, isn't it?
Over there, things are even more on lockdown, right?
Yeah. The country's on lockdown for a month now, so yeah, everything's come to a halt.
Worse.
I mean, in my business, we do a lot of e-commerce, so it's kind of just the opposite's happening. It's just rocketing because obviously people are at home. All they can do now is buy stuff online. So on that side of things, it's great.
Podcast too behind the sound booth. Trevor was like, so many people are at home, they want to watch And I've always noticed, and this is not any disrespect or anything to anybody, but there's always going to be somebody who's putting in more work. So like when it comes to marketing the podcast, there was a point where I was messaging people every single week that a new episode came out, asking them to check it out, leave a like, comment, share. And then you'll notice, like, you look at the views and the views aren't as high as they used to be, but it's just like, I can only market things so much.
Yeah.
You know? And Trevor's just, it's more uncomfortable. It's more new to him. So him, like, you know, reaching out to people and sharing it with them, it's a little harder for him, which is totally fine. But, you know, if we really want this thing to grow, we both got to be putting in equal parts effort.
Yeah, totally.
Otherwise, like, here I am now, and it's great. It's cool. I love the podcast, but the marketing aspect of it is like, no offense, but I'm going to market something that's bringing in revenue and income, which is the Drake and Josh thing, opposed to, you know, the podcast, which is cool, but that's way more of a passion project than anything else.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's, for me at least, you know, it's I enjoy doing it, or else I wouldn't be doing it. But, you know, it's, you really got to have two people on board who are really going to push hard, you know, who are really going to market it hard, because that's how you'll have it grow. But, and if you don't, that's fine. I mean, like I said, me and Trevor have been friends since we were young, but it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, you know, we do it, but we'll see where it goes. It's great to have on paper. It's great as part of a brand, but I would much rather, you know, be doing something for my brand, for my YouTube, like my YouTube, that you were saying you saw it.
Yeah, I went on there earlier, actually. Yeah, it's quite good, actually. Yeah, some great tracks on there. I like the visualizations on there as well. Where did you get those from?
Those are cool. Just cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, I literally, I think a couple of them, I was like, asked my brother-in-law, I was like, what cartoons are really cool from childhood? But I used to just strictly do those before the time lapses.
Right.
And that's why that's everything that's on there. It's older stuff, but I got almost 10,000 subscribers a few years ago.
Wow.
Because one of my old coworkers, I was bartending and serving at Chili's, and so was he. And him and his little like vlog collective, they're Spanish speaking vloggers. And the main guy from that group, he does like millions of views on every single video he posts. And my friend Waldo, he was doing like 200, 300, 400,000 doing daily vlogs in Spanish. And so me and him just started messing around, making a couple videos where I'd play guitar and he would just goof around and sing in Spanish. And he would link me to my YouTube in those videos we'd make. His subscribers would click, because he was making like $100 to $200 a day on YouTube videos. So he stopped working at Chili's. I drove him down to Newport Beach in LA, and he bought a Range Rover, and he was doing it for like full time for like 6 months. And but he would just shout me out whenever we do videos, a few videos here and there. And literally, like, in almost a month, I almost hit 10,000. But I put myself in a niche audience, and they wanted to see me with him. Yeah. So if I wasn't with him, all my views were really, really low. Okay. Right. So then I was stuck, so to speak. So like, that's why, like, I'd really like to like focus on that channel again and like really do my own type of videos and things that are way more oriented around music, or funny little things here and there that I could also promote on Twitter that would promote the channel. But it's all just so many things that you want to do all the time. And then you just really see what's starting to pay off. Absolutely. Or what's really, you know, doing well for you. So we'll see what the future holds with all that stuff. That account sitting there, I can definitely be uploading videos to it, uploading beats to it, and using it as a marketing tool to sell beats. And I think that that's a little bit where I'm going to focus more on once we, you know, maybe in a few weeks or so here, once this kit starts, we start seeing if we want to do another kit, me and Drake. But I have so many beats that can be on so many other platforms, because I love listening to them for myself. And it's cool now. I'm having people from Twitter who listen to them and they like them too, other producers, which is great. Sure. That's just great positive feedback. But like, as far as the sales aspect of them, there's just like, I could be putting them up and you never know, you know, people could be coming to my profile, artists that are looking for beats and buying stuff here and there. So, you know, it's like I'm saying, like, if it's an aspect and an avenue that I'm missing out on, I might as well give it a shot, because I really haven't spent too much time and effort trying to sell beats. But it might be great. It might be very lucrative for me. So there's no reason to not try it.
No, definitely worth a try and just see where it takes you. I take it. Yeah.
And take a little bit of time, not that much to, you know, upload the files to BeatStars or TrackTrain. It's not that difficult to do. And, you know, who knows? I mean, then I just have another catalog just sitting there for other people to
That would
just
be
go.
cool. That would be
Mhm.
cool. Well, look, Josh, I understand I've taken up some of your time, and I really appreciate you doing this today. I think one of the main takeaways I've taken from this for producers is just to be yourself. I would also say, just as a tag on, to try and get on camera a lot, and try and be unique out there, because obviously there's so many producers that are there hiding behind a logo. I think they really just need to get out and just try and be themselves. I know it's difficult because everyone's shy, but I think it's going to make the difference, isn't it?
But on the other side of that shyness is something great.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's learning a job, right? You're uncomfortable at first, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get at it. So
exactly. So look, Josh, where can people find you? Obviously, we talked about the sound booth. If you want to give us where we can find you, where we can follow.
Yeah, definitely. There's the Sound Booth podcast with me and Lombax. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. It's all Josh, Jawsh Crespo _ SoundCloud, Jawsh Crespo Music. I am, like I said, I am on BeatStars, the Jawsh Crespo, I think, because the other one was taken. My old account got locked out or something. But
okay.
Yeah, so there's lots of Facebook if you want, same name. Find me.
And you mentioned there's some that you sell, like a consultation as well. If there are any producers that are interested in that, where can they find that, Josh?
Yeah, so I was doing one-on-one consultations, but it kind of started taking up a lot of the weekend time. So I have a document that I sell. It's $30. It's 6 steps. It's exactly what I do to grow my social media. And if you do it, you'll see growth just like me. So it's giving out free kits. It's interacting with people. It's how to do what I'm doing, like down to the T. And if you do it, you'll see success. You'll see growth, and you'll see potential sales. So, and you can't be afraid to give stuff away.
And where can they get hold of that?
Through me. They can get it through me directly.
Okay, so they can just send you a DM.
Yeah,
interested
I have
in
a link
that
for
document.
That,
Fantastic. All right, you'll have to give me that later on if that's the case.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you right now.
That'd be brilliant. Well, look, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I think we've got a lot out of it. And I think producers coming through will get a lot out of it as well. You've given away some really good tips as well. So I really appreciate that. We'll have to do it again. I know I say it to all my guests, but we'll definitely have to do it again, because I think there's a lot more that you want to say and a lot more advice that you have to give. So, but Josh, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All right, take care.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
So guys, that's all we got time for. I've really enjoyed interviewing Josh in this interview, and hopefully we can get him back on. If you like this style of video, I'd ask you to subscribe and hit the bell notifications so you don't miss anything. Also, there's a link down below. If you want to be part of my Facebook group, I go into a lot more detail than some of the things that you see that I'm tweeting about and posting about online. So guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.